Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this very impromptu live event that we're doing. I'm Julie Roginski here with Jojo Peters, Joe Carducci, and Michelle Kinney. And we're not here for a good reason. We are here because Delaney Hall, which is an ICE facility that has now been expanded by the Trump administration, came under scrutiny and oversight today by 3 members of Congress from New Jersey, all of whom had the right to be there, and Mayor Ras Baraka, the mayor of Newark. They tried to enter the facility as their oversight responsibilities as members of Congress allow them to do. Mayor Baraka, before he was able to even enter the facility, was arrested and detained by ICE. He is before a judge as we speak. And the 3 members of Congress were allowed in to perform their oversight duties when they were apparently escorted out. They were roughed up by ICE, including Bonnie Watson-Coleman, Congresswoman from the 12th Congressional District of New Jersey. Bonnie Watson-Coleman, I believe, is in her late 70s, early 80s. We will have James G. joining us in a moment. James is the senior advisor to Mayor Baraka. He's been with him today, and he will be able to fill us in on what exactly is happening with Mayor Baraka. He's also the former chief of staff to Bonnie Watson-Coleman by coincidence, so he'll be able to tell us exactly what happened with the Congresswoman. I was actually driving to Pennsylvania today when this was all happening. When Michelle told me that this was all going on, I literally turned the car around and went down to Delaney Hall in Newark. I was about 25 minutes away. Just so people understand where Delaney Hall in Newark is, it is the former Essex County Jail. It is a decrepit old facility. In fact, it is so old that the Essex County Jail moved out of Delaney Hall and then moved to a new facility because it wasn't good enough to house the people that Essex County was detaining. At that point, it became an ICE facility over the course of some time. It is down by the docks in Newark off a road that is one way in, one way out. A lot of truck traffic, very hard to get to, almost impossible to get to, actually. I suspect that's on purpose. And when I got to Delaney Hall today, all that was left was media and all that was left was press. When I spoke to James about this a few hours later, he said that actually there were people in Newark gathering outside Delaney Hall again and that they were enraged. The city is on edge tonight, as they should be, because their elected mayor was arrested by ICE for reasons that are not clear to us. And maybe James was in court with the mayor and he'll be able to fill us in on exactly what ICE is claiming their right was to detain the duly elected lawful mayor of the largest city in New Jersey. I cannot wait to hear it.
Yeah.
I would assume that Mayor Baraka has been released by a judge because we don't have insane judges sitting in the federal courts of New Jersey. And I don't know under what auspices or rights ICE has to detain an American citizen and a duly elected mayor, what rights they have to rough up their elected members of Congress. There were 3, one of whom represents the city of Newark. Actually, 2 of whom represent the city of Newark, Congresswoman McIver and also Congressman Rob Menendez, who represents parts of Newark, and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman, who represents Central New Jersey, but nevertheless, I know is a close friend of Mayor Baraka, and all of them were there to perform their oversight duties. So as we wait for James to get on, he was trying to find a place to pull over to do the show with us because I think he was coming from Newark. Michelle, I don't know if he's in the back room or if we can check.
No, I don't see him yet.
But what are your thoughts on all this?
I mean, do we have the clip of do we have any of the video?
Oh, I do. Let me load it in.
So yeah, while Michelle does that, I mean, it's shocking. The video is shocking, right? I mean, this. We woke up this morning to what happened in Massachusetts, where young girls are being friggin' tackled and dragged to the ground, women with babies being accosted by ICE. And all of this is happening while Nosferatu Stephen Miller is standing in front of the White House saying they're considering suspending habeas corpus. So all of the intersection of all of these things. But watching the shocking video, Michelle, I don't know, just tell me whenever you're ready.
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Yeah. If it doesn't, I mean, Heather Heyer, who died in Charlottesville, who was run over in Charlottesville, had posted before she died, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. And that is where we are right now, times 10,000, a million. You could see the aggression towards the members of Congress, towards the people trying to protect the members of Congress, coming from these ICE agents. And it is just, it should chill all of us to our bone. This is not a partisan issue. And I tweeted this today. If you think the suspension of the rule of law, due process, is good for you too, you need to wake. You need to wake up, because first they came for fill in the blank. They will be coming for you too.
Yep. Here's the video.
Get off of her! You cannot push it! You cannot Congress! You can't push members of Congress! Get off of her!
You are fascist! Fascist!
Get off of her! Oh, yes. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Put your hands on me, but we'll take. Well, now, if you just if it's harassed, you know that's wrong. Women like that.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just explain what was going on, because I actually know all these people personally, so I can identify who that is. There's a woman in a trench coat in the forefront of that video. That woman is Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, who was manhandled and roughed up.
Oh, sorry. Let me just do this visually here. See if I can.
In the very beginning of the video.
Right here.
That's that woman in the trench coat. That is Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. I believe she's 80 years old or somewhere around that. As you can see, there are people who are gathering around her to physically protect her. She is a small woman. Not that it matters, because it doesn't matter what kind of woman she is, or what kind of man she is, for that matter. I don't know who has the right to put their hands on her, but that is not okay. As you could see, there was Ras Baraka being escorted out, and you saw Congressman Menendez, and I believe the woman in red is Congresswoman McIver, if I'm not mistaken. It's hard to see.
Yeah.
Congressman Menendez a little bit where he was running, kind of saying, "Get your hands off of her." I believe that was Congressman Menendez.
Yeah.
I just want to say something, read something that Bonnie Watson Coleman tweeted out about this incident. She wrote, "Since DHS has been lying about this, allow me to correct the record. This scuffle, during which an ICE agent physically shoved me, occurred after we had entered the Delaney Hall premises. We entered the facility, came back out to speak to the mayor, and then ICE agents began shoving us. This is not how we entered the facility. We were escorted in by guards because we have lawful oversight authority to be there." I would like to know who these ICE agents are. And let me just add one more thing. When I showed up at Delaney Hall, obviously after this was all over, I saw press and I saw a few ICE agents. I believe they were ICE agents. I was with my son, who was a little terrified as to why we were there. And I said, "It's important for you to see this." And he pointed out, he said, "Why are those people wearing masks?" My 12-year-old son. These are people who don't want to show their faces to the media.
Yep.
Because they know. They know.
Yep. And they think I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing what I'm told. I'm just taking orders. Well, you know what? That was not an acceptable excuse during the Nuremberg trials.
And Timothy Snyder writes about this. Sorry, Michelle, I didn't know. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead. I was just going to say, like,
you're right.
That's, here we are. It's, sorry, keep going, Joe.
Yeah, Timothy Snyder writes about this in On Tyranny. This is one of the rules. Those with with weapons, those with guns, they have to stand up and refuse to comply with this stuff. I mean, these are like, again, you look back throughout history and it is replete with stories like this, where
Mhm.
these are the kinds of people who were corrupted and were able to suspend what they know is within the parameters of their jobs. And it
Yep.
becomes like Lord of the Flies, you know,
Yep.
this is like scary stuff where so they need to be shaken. Like, I don't mean to
Mhm.
like threaten them, but like someone needs to show them videos of this and say, no, this
Yes.
is not who you, maybe it's who you are, but you can't be this person. Okay.
That's
This is
absolutely
not
true.
right.
We right now we have James waiting in the wings. I'm just going to bring him in. There we go. Here we go.
Hey, James G.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So, without much preamble, I just want to introduce everybody here. James G. is a dear friend, but in addition to being that, the most important part of all of this is that James is an amazing Democratic consultant who is now consulting for Mayor Ras. He's the senior advisor to Mayor Ras Baraka. He is the former chief of staff, coincidentally, as I said, to Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. And we just, before he came on, played that video of Congresswoman Watson Coleman, who is, how old is she now, James? She's 80, right? Or close to it.
She is 80, but don't tell her I told you.
Yeah, well, a woman never tells. But the reason I say that is because this is the woman who was manhandled, the member of Congress who was manhandled by ICE agents. It doesn't matter, as I said, how old she is. No, that's not okay anyway. But I'm not sure what kind of human being looks at any woman, and especially a woman in her 80s, and says that, you know, it's okay to shove her and it's okay to get physically violent with a member of Congress who has every right to perform oversight over a detention facility in the city of Newark that the mayor and the residents of Newark do not want. So, James, I know, were you just with the mayor in jail? Is that where you were? Or, well, not in jail, excuse me, at the courthouse? What's going on? Fill us in on how the mayor is doing.
I'm having trouble hearing.
You're on mute.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of noise going on in the back. I'm sure he'll be back. Yeah.
If I can just read this because it's important. Yeah. Number 7, the rule, again, on tyranny. Be reflective if you must be armed. If you carry a weapon in public service, God bless you and keep you. But know that evils of the past involve policemen and soldiers finding themselves one day doing irregular things. Be ready to say no.
Yep.
These people have not been saying no.
Yeah. Well, and this is just, reason number 570,000 that they are trying to get rid of all of the, rule following members of the military. This is not exactly invoking a lot of confidence in the military stepping up and saying no, and not refusing, and rather refusing orders that are unconstitutional or illegal, because they don't want any roadblocks to quote Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. So I'm not feeling great, to be honest. And we have James back. I'm going to bring him back in.
Oh, good.
Hey, you're on mute, James. So maybe you could take us off mute and then
Yeah,
I
got on the road, so I'm like in a rest stop trying to talk to you all. The day was crazy. Like Bonnie Watson Coleman was there, and you saw the other 2 members of Congress, Congresswoman MacGyver and Congressman Menendez. It was just a crazy scene that was unnecessary. Raz came out. It was about 1,000 people and more people coming as he was being released. So he was anxious to get people out of the rain and get out of there. But he said that he couldn't talk about the actual incident. But basically, he went there first, was supposed to be there for an interview, and then took his kids to school and came back at 1 o'clock to meet the Congress people. Someone had made a decision while he wasn't there that if he came back, they were going to arrest him for trespassing. And that's pretty much what happened. There's actually a videotape that I'm hoping to find that says basically, there's a member with the HSI on his sleeve that said, "Move out of the way. We're here to arrest Mayor Baraka." Like, he actually said that. So it's been an interesting day.
And he went before Judge James, right? He's out. I assume he's out.
I don't know if you heard.
Can you hear?
He's out. Yeah, he is out. He went to get something to eat, spend some time with his kids, and then I'm sure he's going to be on TV a lot tonight.
Yeah.
James,
Good.
can we clarify some disinformation that's coming out of the shit show that is this administration? So the Department of Homeland Security tweeted, today as a bus of detainees was entering the security gate at Delaney Hall Detention Center, a group of protesters, including 2 members of U.S. Congress, stormed the gate and broke into the detention facility. The allegations by Newark politicians that Delaney does not have the proper permitting is false. Can you speak to some of this, please?
Yeah, no one was storming, right? First, they were there an hour before people came out to arrest them. So no one was storming. And the members of Congress had done a tour of the facilities before Raz came back. So storm is sort of the wrong word to use. I want to say misnomer, but I just think it's a lie, right? Like there's just, there was no storming. But there was clearly a decision to arrest the mayor of Newark. So.
And do we know, James,
which is
any authority that they have to do this? Who has the authority? Who arrested him? Was it ICE? And under what authority?
So, I mean, I think it's actually the people that took him in had HSI on there, which is Homeland Security Investigations. And the word is that it was trespassing, but I'm not certain yet. Like literally, he went to see a judge and then they let him out. So I didn't get a chance to talk to him other than tell him what interviews he had to do or whatever. And so I think that like this is a real constitutional issue, right? Can the mayor in a city, if that facility went up in flames and they didn't have the proper permits, it would be his fault. But can that mayor also hold you accountable and say who can get a certificate of occupancy? And can he go and inspect to make sure that a facility is, in fact, a place that can be used by, for whatever service it is, whether you have a building full of people who are making widgets or a building full of people retaining people, it is within his purview in his city. And so it's sort of weird and raises a lot of questions about federal authority versus other authorities. This whole incident does. And then the question is, what America do we want to live in? Do we want unchecked ability for someone to come? If it seems to me that the Republicans and the Trump administration has been all about liberty until it comes to immigrants, right? Like you can just come to my city. You can put a facility that you want to put in my city, even though I have treated immigrants as welcome part of our community. You can decide to detain them and to treat them any kind of way, and I can't say that you can't have that in my city.
Right.
It's just weird to me. It's inconsistent with their whole liberty message.
And it doesn't stop with mayors. I mean, it started with immigrants and then students and then judges, and now we're arresting mayors. I mean, it doesn't stop there, right? I mean, this is a slippery slope.
Like, it was wild. It's really important to know too that it was full of mayors from all over the state came to the facility. Today, the mayor of Orange, actually, Dwayne Warren, served as one of the attorneys for Mayor Baraka. The mayor of Orange was there. The mayor of East Orange was there. The mayor of Plainfield was there. And the comptroller from New York came through. So many members of the legislature were there. The majority leader from the legislature was there. It was just an outpouring of mayors in particular, and people as far as Trenton, right? We had pastors from Trenton and Camden, Jersey City. I started Jersey City councilman. So it was a really outpouring in this short period of time of people who felt like this was something that they had to stand up for.
I was wondering if you could just give us a little background on Delaney Hall, and because I was reading it was something that's been protested for a little while now. I was just wondering if you could just give some background on why everybody was there in the first place.
It was a detention center within the state system before this, as I understand, and there was many. So I worked as chief of staff to Bonnie Watson Coleman, both in Congress and when she was in the state legislature. She's always been a criminal justice advocate, right? And so Delaney Hall was a place that they held juveniles for a while, and people hated the conditions of it. It was a mold-infested, rat-infested place that they actually got closed down because of the conditions. And then a private group, I'm not sure of the private group's name, but a private detention center reopened it as a for-profit prison to hold prisoners, not from ICE, but we have an overcrowding problem in our jails. And if you have an ability to send prisoners from another county to another county, you can have people hold them. And this private company was holding prisoners for other counties around the state. And people said, well, if it wasn't good enough for the state to have to detain people, how could you have a private company doing it? So people always were protesting it. Then it totally shut down, and then this private company decided, the win for all, which is if you can detain for ICE, it's really good money for private prisons, and so that's when this started. You should know that Bonnie Watson Coleman is also the sponsor of the legislation to ban private prisons in America. So there's a lot of history there as well. But when, with all of the immigration that happens and all the immigrants that make up the beautiful city of Newark, the mayor has been opposed to this, rampant sort of unorthodox going into workplaces, grabbing people, saying that they're not citizens. And so when he heard about this facility being activity, he said, you can't do that because we haven't approved that this place is habitable. But ICE went ahead anyway and started housing people there. And so there's been a back and forth about whether or not they can exist without a certificate of occupancy from the city of Newark.
James, it's interesting. I don't know if you heard or whether I talked about this before you got on. I actually went down to Delaney Hall today. I missed what was going on, but I got there a short while after, and what was left was just a few members of the press and also some people who were wearing masks, who I assume were ICE. Well, not I assume, they were ICE agents. I asked what happened. They said the mayor had been arrested, and I said, where is he now? And they said he has been taken to 620 Frelinghuysen Avenue, and that the members of Congress were following him there to make sure that he was okay. I looked up what 620 Frelinghuysen Avenue is, and it is in fact an ICE facility in the city of Newark. And I don't know if people understand, but ICE is so embedded in our cities, especially, that they have facilities, dedicated Homeland Security facilities, in a place that is fairly residential. I mean, there are people living around 620 Frelinghuysen Avenue. I happen to know the city of Newark a little, not as well as you do, but not too bad. And so, what all I kept thinking about, and maybe I don't know if you have any clarity on this, especially because you worked for the federal government. I go back to the same question I had before, and he's now gone. So I'll ask you guys the same question that I had before, which is, what the hell kind of authority does the Department of Homeland Security, and especially ICE, have to detain a duly elected American citizen? For what? For what?
I'm just going to put this up here. This is Joe just texted this to me. Homeland Security tweeted today, today as a bus of detainees was entering the security gate of Delaney Hall Detention Center, a group of protesters, including 2 members of U.S. Congress, stormed the gate and broke into the detention facility. The allegations by Newark politicians that Delaney does not have the proper permitting is false. Meet who the New Jersey lawmakers are fighting for. And there's a tweet thread. And then Stephen Miller also tweeted this today. He quote tweeted that original tweet from Homeland Security or DHS. Today, Democrat officials riotously stormed and invaded an ICE facility to secure the release of the following criminals and terrorists here legally. Now, again, like, this is just after he talked in front of the White House to the press today about suspending the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah. So,
so to answer your question, Julie, I don't know what the rules are anymore. I don't know what laws matter anymore.
That's the answer. That's the answer to your question. No one has they don't have the authority. They don't care. Right. They don't care. This is they decided to arrest him for a reason. They waited. They came back when nothing was happening, and they decided in front of all those mayors and all those cameras, they decided to arrest him on the heels of Stephen Miller saying, maybe we'll just upend the Constitution. We have the right to do that because we're under invasion. And then they make a calculated decision. Alina Habba's all over it. Stephen Miller's all over it. To do whatever they want. They don't have the authority.
This a parking lot lawyer. It's just...
Well, and you raise a good point about Alina Habba. For people who don't know, she is the U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey. where this is all taking place. So if you want to see what your Justice Department is going to do about this, if anything, Alina Habba is in charge of the law, of federal law in New Jersey.
Yeah.
From a prosecutorial standpoint, obviously, federal judges are federal judges.
Right.
What I would love to see is, yes, I would love to know who these members of Congress are fighting for, because from what Homeland Security has told us, everybody is a terrorist who's about to kill us all. In reality, 99.9% of them have never been charged with any crime other than potentially overstaying their visas.
Right.
Yep.
Which we would know if
it happened in Massachusetts too, by the way.
Yeah.
We should,
Do you have it?
I'll send it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, it's.
And sorry, Artie McFly, Biden deported more illegals. They're not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then Trump passed it on. Okay. Yes. After they received due process.
Well, right. That's the thing. It's like, and we would know that most of these people had not committed any crimes. If they were given their day in court, we would all know this information. But Donald Trump continues to use this weird excuse that, oh, well, we couldn't. We'd have like 3 million cases. And I was like, okay, the most litigious man in the history of the United States, who literally sues anybody for anything, says that there's going to be too many court cases. Bullshit. Like these people just like, I'm like, how dumb do you think we all are? How dumb.
Well, also, the reason he's not rotting in jail or in prison right now for all the different things he was charged with is because he received due process. In fact, he received more due process than any other human being in this country has ever received.
He's been given a little bit too much due process, quite frankly.
The chef's kiss today was that Alina Habba had the audacity to tweet that no one is above the law in this country. Alina Habba, who thups at the taint of a convicted felon, business fraud, sexual abuser, wants us to know that in this country, who got away with inciting an insurrection, attempting to overturn the government, stealing national security documents, you name it, right? That no one is above the law in this country. Meanwhile, that motherfucker, that slippery motherfucker, is sitting in the office he tried to steal. Okay, sure. No one's above the law.
And actually, somebody is above the law, because thanks to John Roberts, who came out of his hidey hole yesterday to lament the mistreatment of federal judges by this administration. But thanks to John Roberts, actually, the president of the United States is above the law.
Yep.
He can literally shoot somebody in Fifth Avenue, or he can literally go and shoot up every single member of Congress he doesn't like, and that would be okay. But what's going to happen is that all of these people who are illegally arresting people like Ras Baraka are, in addition to that, going to be pardoned by this president on his way out the door if he ever leaves. But after Stephen Miller's comments yesterday, it has become very apparent to me what is going to happen. They are suspending habeas corpus. They will then suspend the Constitution. There will not be another election. Wow. This is all a setup. This is what we're all setting up for here. And I know everybody's going to say, this is crazy. This is crazy. Why would you say this? We've never had this before. Everything has been crazy.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah. And today was yet another, I don't even call it a test balloon anymore. It was just another, look, this is what we're doing. And you need to see it, get used to it, grow comfortable with it, grow numb to it. This is the spectacle we're putting on display because we do not give a shit about your laws, your rules, your constitution, your mores, folkways. We don't care about your moral compass. We don't care. We are going to put this on full display. And that's what Donald Trump always does, right? Yeah. He always does the worst in the most public possible way. And what happens to us all is everybody just kind of, we get outraged and then we move on. And we cannot. We still have a moment. We still have the time. We still have the power and the opportunity and the voice. We can still have conversations like these. This is the time, friends, to stand up and use your voices to fight. Because what Julie just said is not hyperbolic or histrionic. It's a fucking fact. And we have this little tiny window of time left where we can still say that. And then it's over. Lights out.
I'm going to say
go ahead. Sorry, Michelle. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say there's no getting it back. I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, first of all, there is no going back to where we were before on November 3rd, 2024. That reality is never going to come back or never exist again, because if we do make it through this and are able to hold on to our republic, it's going to be a different version of it. And quite frankly, I hope it's a reformed version of it, because the old way led us here. So this is kind of where I feel like I'm exhausted, because I've been screaming at the top of my lungs for years, telling people that this was going to happen. This is going to happen. Guys are going to round people up and put them in camps. Guys, they're going to suspend the Constitution. Guys, they're going to overturn habeas corpus. And I was told over and over and over again that I was being hysterical. I remember a week before January 6th, I was like, he's going to stage a coup. There's going to be a violent coup in Washington, D.C. I was told, again, sometimes by liberals, telling me that I was overreacting. So, I'm so tired of being told I'm overreacting. I'm so tired of being told I'm being hysterical or that this is crazy. It is not crazy. What is happening? It's like, believe your eyes, believe your ears. What is happening in front of you?
Michelle, I just sent you a video that I would love you to throw up, because I want to show people what I saw today as I was leaving.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Let me just download this here.
Yeah. I'm going to just, before you show it, I just want people to understand. So we left Delaney Hall and we were headed west. We got on Route 78, which is one of the major highways. It is the major highway, interstate highway heading west out of Newark, for people who don't know the area. All of a sudden, there were about, I don't know, you can count them in the video, 10, 15, 20 people on motorcycles and escorting a van with tinted windows that was in front of it. The van was unmarked. The people on the motorcycles wore alternatively either jackets that said police on them or that said sheriff on them. They did not say Essex County Sheriff on them. They did not say Newark Police or any other city on them. I have never seen that before. My husband is a federal criminal defense lawyer. I showed him this. He has never seen anything like this before. Usually it would say pick your city, right? NYPD or Sheriff's Office of Essex County.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Even some podunk little village that identifies itself on the badge.
No identifying, nothing. No identifying. I mean, I will tell you, I have worked in New Jersey politics for a long time. If it is the Essex County Sheriff's Office, it would say Essex County Sheriff's Office on it. If it were and Newark PD, it would say Newark PD on it. But it was not. And they were escorting a van, if you'll see in the video, that was painted over, that did not have anything on the side. And I was thinking, is this Mayor Baraka they're escorting? Who are they escorting? I have never seen an escort like this. The President of the United States does not get, well, he gets the highway shut down for him, but short of the President of the United States, they do not have an escort like this. So I don't know if you can play this video right now.
Yeah, I have it right here. Oh my gosh. What?
Oh my God. Oh, hey, waste, fraud, and abuse.
That's crazy.
Leading all the way, that whole thing, all the way.
And we don't know who they are. We don't really know who they are.
And we don't know who they're transporting, but it was shortly after.
I just want to play that again. I want to play it again.
I probably have a better video cover.
Jesus, that's terrifying.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
Wizard of Oz.
Who are they? I don't know. They did not. Well, it was like a Halloween costume. You put police on the back. What kind of police? We don't know. Sheriff? We don't know. Who?
I mean, they're giving the libs of TikTok freaking ice vests and shit. Like nothing matters anymore. But they're also, and Michelle, sorry to hit you with another clip, but like they're not identifying themselves, and they're telling people they don't need papers. They're telling people they don't need any to identify themselves. This is all over the place. Like this is how I woke up. A lot of us woke up this morning. Tara put it in our offline chat. So this is bookending this day. This is what ICE did this morning, and this is in Massachusetts.
I have the video. Yeah.
So this is how we woke up, friends.
By the way, somebody said here, not exactly going at top speed either. Not at all going at top speed. As a matter of fact, they were taking their time, shutting down the left lane of the local lanes of the highway. The highway
They
has
want
an
to make a
express.
spectacle.
I'm so
right?
glad that you went over there, Julie.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that
Well,
you did.
I'm glad too, but what's so scary is I don't know that I would love some answers as to who was on this interstate highway and whom they were escorting in an unmarked, blacked out van.
Right. Well, I just to set this up. There's two. I was screen recording this from Twitter, and then the next video popped in, and it's just another vantage point of the same thing, which I think is worth playing both of them. Does any of you do you want to set this up? What we're about to look at?
Go ahead, Joe.
I mean, it's ICE going into it's Worcester, Mass, right?
Mm-hmm,
I believe, yeah, going into Worcester, Mass, and arresting again, air quotes, whoever they decided to arrest without due process again, because apparently these were supposed to be hardened criminals and gang members, but these are young girls and a woman with 2 small children, and
a baby.
And the rest of the neighborhood started like saying, what the fuck are you doing? What is going on? And all hell broke loose, and they're tackling young girls who are screaming out for help. Well, like that primal kind of scream that you hear that and your soul feels
Blood
that.
curdling.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna play this, so yeah, just keep in mind it's upsetting.
These are fucking brown shirts. This is who are these men? Who are these people, and how do they?
Oops, remove this.
What are they thinking? Are they thinking they're arresting hardened criminals?
I think that they're all like juiced up. I swear to God, it's like it's. I mean, I was like kind of half joking earlier today in our group chat, but I was like, we have to stop calling them ICE agents and call them what they are, which is paid gig workers who are cosplaying or wearing an ICE costume, who are paid civilians who would otherwise be Uber drivers going into neighborhoods and like rounding up brown people. Like that's what this is. And they're all, and like I've watched that first clip so many times today, and like I hear something new and see something new every time I watch it. That time I noticed the thin blue line flag in the background and the dog barking. There's like a dog barking in the background. And it's like the normalcy of like, it's just like a regular neighborhood that any of us live in, with absolute terror raining down on their lives. And it's just, and like, do you really need that many officers to get one person?
Well,
I mean, Tom Homan is sending a message also to the American people. He is a fascist. He is the godfather of the putting kids in cages things. And he said before Donald Trump was even inaugurated, well, we're not going to separate the families this time. We're just going to send them all.
I want to talk about, I wrote a Substack yesterday about inspired by the Pope. And I don't want to I'm not trying to plug my Substack. I was very moved by some of the symbolism of the decency of the Pope in stark contrast to the depravity of J.D. Vance. And something that occurred to me was, we know this. They want us to be accustomed to that. They want us to grow numb to that. They want us not to care. And I'm going to try not to cry. But I said the greatest threat to America is not an immigrant at the border or a protester in the street or a child seeking asylum. The greatest threat is the erosion of our capacity to care. The greatest threat is the day we look at suffering and feel nothing. The day we see injustice and choose silence. The day we forget that decency is our birthright and our responsibility. That is what they want us to. They want to divide us. They want us not to care. They want us to be apathetic. They want us to see those people screaming and running through the streets of, like you said, Michelle, an average neighborhood that could be anywhere in the middle of the day. They want us to get used to these atrocities. And we cannot, because that's not actually who we are. And we have to fight against that with every fiber of our being. We cannot become numb to that. That cannot become normal. We cannot look away. We can't.
No, we can't.
I got to ask, where was the Senate Majority Leader who is across the river in New York?
I'd love to know. I was raised in Brooklyn.
Where is the House Minority Leader who also is across the river in New York? Why aren't they standing outside of Delaney Hall holding?
I have no idea, Julie. And I'm glad you asked that because we're in a chat with some Democratic people and whatnot. And, we're getting updates and information about what's going on. And somebody had mentioned that so-and-so is preparing a statement. And I was just kind of like, I was like a press release or like an actual press conference? Like what do you mean statement? And I wasn't trying to, interrogate the person. They're just the messenger, but I was like, where are they? This is why people are so angry at the Democrats and they're like, don't come after us. Yes, we will, because you're not doing your job and you're not doing anything. You're just cowering in the corner, scared and complacent because you're like, well, we're not in the power. We don't have the majority. Who cares? Do something, for God's sakes.
Michelle, you jumped on your phone. I jumped on my phone. We recorded videos. Julie put together this live. This is what we did in the moment.
I drove to the place.
I know. I was in my pajamas.
Throwing the car around with a 12-year-old sitting next to me. I was like, sorry, we're going to have to go here. And he was like, what?
Yeah, like texting us being like, if something happens, like call my husband. It's just like, that's right. And I was like, I was sitting there in my pajamas and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to do this. I don't care what I look like. It's too important, with my little audience that I have. But these people are members of Congress. They're representing the United States and their Senate. I don't where are you? Where are you?
I don't know. It's a good question because I will say this, and I know, and I love both Cory Booker and Andy Kim. I helped both of them get elected. They're very good senators. Senators, where were you today?
Cory Booker put out a tweet.
I don't want to hear about a tweet.
He used to be the mayor of Newark. Like he was Mr. Newark. I was like, and that's why I was like, Cory Booker, you're up. Get in your car. Go up. Get on
your phone.
Right. Get on your phone. Get on the Acela. It takes 2.5 hours, not even to get to Newark.
It's Friday. They're not in Washington anyway. They're probably home or somewhere.
Right.
Well, either way, I'm just I watched Street Fight, your documentary about, running for mayor of Newark. I remember he was one of the OG politicians on Twitter. People would be like, hey, Mayor Booker, there's a street light out on, Washington and whatever. And he's like, yep, right on it. And he was on Twitter nonstop helping people. And I have no ill will against the man because I think he's great. And he's one of the ones that's really stepping up and trying to do the right thing. But on a day like today, when coming from where he came from and being the kind of leader and the kind of voice that he is, this was an opportunity to show leadership. This was an opportunity to say, we're not going to take this. But instead, everyone's just laying over and saying, well, I guess we are going to take this.
Well, putting out a statement, I'm sorry, putting out a statement when an African-American female member of Congress, a woman of color, is 80 years old. I know that James doesn't like me saying it, but she is. And she's
facts
lovely.
Are facts. Listen,
and she's
Joe Biden's however many years old. We never stop talking about it.
Funky and
yeah,
badass and she's all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So we should have her on the show because
Yeah, absolutely.
she would come
Love
on.
that.
Great. But, you know, one of your colleagues just got manhandled.
Mm-hmm.
by
You
a
don't
bunch
put
of
your hands on people, and you especially don't put your hands on members of Congress.
and
What-
women.
And
And
like, what are you doing?
And I gotta say, I don't know what more there is to say about this tonight, and I think we should probably wrap this up. Other than to say, that something broke. I mean, things have been breaking every day.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened today, in concert with Stephen Miller saying that they're going to suspend habeas corpus.
Yes.
Judges don't rule the way they want them to rule. It was a threat to the judiciary.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew Mayor Baraka was coming back, and they wanted a moment. And this was not a bunch of ICE agents getting out of hand and getting excited. They were given orders to arrest him.
Yep, bingo.
And they were given orders to rough up for the cameras the 3 members of Congress, 2 of whom were women, who were walking out of a facility into which they had been escorted.
Mm-hmm.
This was for show, and this was to send a message. And you cannot blame this entirely on those ICE agents because, again, this was not, in the heat of the moment, we got scared. They were given orders to do this, and we will not find out who they were given orders by because, unfortunately, the United States Attorney of the District of New Jersey is Alina Habba.
Ugh.
And this, I know that it's they were given an order, but I guess where I'm just asking people about their humanity and their patriotism to this country and the oaths that, law enforcement and members of Congress and representatives take is to defend the Constitution against all enemies, domestic and foreign. Like this, the call is coming from inside the house, guys.
Yeah.
And it's coming from inside the house everywhere. And the judiciary has essentially, thanks to Mitch McConnell, who has done his job of packing the court, they have handed their power away to Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm just like, do you guys know what you've done? And I don't think that they realized. I really don't. Maybe a couple of them maybe did, but like the John Roberts, I don't know that he realized, well, I'm going to give away my power as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. I don't know that they. It's too late now. It's too late now.
Because even if they come back and say, "Whoops, our bad," who's going to care?
Remember, they all think they're special. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They all think they're special. They all think they're different. And my closing statement here for myself on this is about that, because the MAGA incel bros all up in my replies and in our comments right now. This is what I voted for.
Harder, whatever.
This is exactly
wait a tweet from your mom's basement on Friday at 9:30.
Also, they're coming for you next, buddy.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Julie. Yeah. The monster you feed does not care what hat you wear, okay? When it grows hungry, when it's finished with those you think you don't like, it's coming for you. It will come for you. It'll come for your daughter who spoke out. It'll come for your son who stood up and said his workplace wasn't safe. It will come for you too. And then when that day comes, you won't have anyone to cry harder to. You won't have anyone to tell to cope, because you will be alone and there will be no one left. And remember that you were warned. You were warned. That's my closing message. You're not special. You don't have that access card to Club Broligarch. They'll come for you too. They'll come and seize your property.
Oh, absolutely.
They will. You believe me, the day of reckoning is coming for you unless and until you wake the fuck up. And some of you are so far gone. But so many of these Republicans, and John Roberts included, and so many of these feckless, self-gelding assholes in the House and the Senate thought they were special. Marco Rubio thought he was special. And now look at him. Look at the feckless cuck he has become. Because you're not special. None of you are special. And this is, again, our last chance. The warning, fascism is not coming to America. It is here.
Yep.
And what you do in this moment right now, you can either save yourself and your country, or you seal your fate.
And if any of you ever cracked open a history book, which I assume most of you have not, you should read about what happened to the men in Germany after 1945.
Yeah.
and what they understood they had wrought,
Mhm.
and how many of them harmed themselves, and how many of them could not live with what they allowed to happen.
Yep.
So I'll just leave it at
And-
that.
well,
I'll just leave it at that. There's
yeah.
again, you're either team democracy or you're team autocracy. If you're on team
Yeah.
autocracy, bye-bye. But
What
if you have
side are
team-
you on? What
Yeah.
side? I mean, it's a very simple question. What side are you on? Because you're either with us or you're against us. And that's just kind of where I'm at these days. And I just wanted to say really quick, if because there's always a pop culture reference here somewhere, is that if you haven't seen The Watchmen on HBO, that came out a few years ago, that opens up with the Tulsa riots, which actually has shed a lot of light on it, I think, for people for the first time. You know, the people who go and police the communities, who have, you know, long history, like storied, you know, lives of racism and whatnot, they all wear the masks because, you know, the whole premise is they didn't want anybody to know who they are.
And same thing
And
happened today. I saw it with my own eyes.
exactly. And there will come a day where all the people who have participated or enabled or ushered through this time in our history, they will have to answer to themselves. They will have to answer to their families, their loved ones, their neighbors, and to their God. And I hope I'm alive to see it.
Okay, on that very dispiriting note, for those of you who don't know, we will have a much later show tomorrow, I think, hopefully. unless-
Maybe.
Maybe. At
We
10
get to
a.m.
talk about the Knicks, so that's good.
Yeah. 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Join us for coffee and conversation. And thank you to everybody who came out on such short notice. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jamie, for joining us and filling us in on what was going on.
Thank
with
you to
NEWARK.
all 10,593 of you.
Oh my
Thank you
goodness.
so much.
On
Yeah.
5 seconds notice. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning
Yep.
for coffee and conversation. Stay safe, everybody.
Yep.
I'm going to be thinking a lot about what I saw in Newark today. I'm going to be thinking very hard about those weird unmarked motorcycles and van. And if anybody has any idea about what the hell that was, send it to me over social
Yeah.
media.
And share this conversation with your friends and family. Share
Yeah.
all of this with people who may not know, people who may not be paying attention, because can't do that all the time. But a lot of people need to see this stuff that don't see it and may not come across it.
Yeah.
And enlighten them, show them, no judgment, but like just show them. Let them see that with their own eyes. Let them hear it with their own ears. There's no way you can't have a visceral response to what we've been showing tonight and to all of this. So, you know what I mean? Like spread the truth, spread facts as long as we still have them.
Mhm.
Yep. And to all the trolls, thank you for joining us tonight.
I know. Thank you for the algorithm.
Duck stains.
Yeah. So I know you think you're owning us, but in fact, you have made our algorithm that much stronger.
I
So
know.
YouTube thanks you. And
Thank you.
we will see the rest of you, including the trolls, if you want to join us tomorrow.
I know.
And
Come on by.
come on by,
bros.
trolls. Keep working on our algorithm. We're going to be really
Not like
basic.
you're doing anything else with your small in the pants life. So
Get your, what is it you call it, Jojo? Get your lotion and come on, join. All right. We'll see you. Sorry, Dad. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
bye guys.